Hello, I'm Russ Skinner. I'm a lead driver trainer for TP Trucking. We're at TP Trucking in Central Point, and in this training, we'll be going over load securement. The purpose of this training is to act as an overview of proper flatbed load securement, which is critical in preventing load shift, loss of product, and potential accidents. Different load types require different securement methods to meet regulations established by the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, FMCSA, and strictly followed by TP Trucking. Verifying operating conditions of equipment such as straps, chains, binders, etc. is also critical in helping prevent potential accidents. Check the condition of all your equipment when assigned your truck and trailer, and when loading or unloading. Do not use any defective or concerning equipment and report it to a TP Trucking terminal. Safety. TP Trucking policy requires the following PPE while loading and unloading: safety vest, safety glasses, hearing protection when required, hard hat, closed-toed shoes or steel-toe boots when necessary, and gloves. Leather is recommended since it's more protective. If necessary to get on the trailer deck or load, then fall protection system usage will be required. Use 3 points of contact anytime you're mounting or dismounting the trailer. Be mindful of your hand placement when sliding winches, operating binders, and using your winch bar when tightening straps, as there is always a risk for hand injuries. When using securement devices, they must be properly fastened to avoid the potential of becoming unintentionally loose, opening, or releasing while in transit. When finished securing, step back for a broader view of the secured load. If there is a thought that you may need additional securement, add it at this time, as there is never a penalty for too much securement. Prior to departing, ask yourself this important question: would you feel comfortable with your family next to this load on the highway? FMCSA key terms. The 4 key terms and definitions to know and follow with load securement as set forth by the FMCSA are: working load limit. Know the working load limit, WLL, the limit at which a securement device can withstand before breaking. Weakest link rule. Secure according to the lowest rated securement device, such as 5,000 pounds for a typical strap compared to 5,500 pounds for a winch. Aggregate working load limit. This determines how many securement devices are needed to properly secure the load based on weight. Weight, height, length rule. This is also used to help determine how many securement devices are required based on weight, height, and length of the load. We'll go over working examples later on in this training when discussing load types. Equipment. Straps. When inspecting, straps must be free of cuts, nothing deeper than 1/4 inch, and free of frays, which means the webbing is damaged. Look to see that there is no excessive dirt or oil. Straps should be fairly clean to maintain grip on the product. Rub marks are caused from general use, but excess rubbing over time will wear through. If the color of the strap varies greatly from when it was new, this could be a sign it needs to be replaced. Typical working load limit of the provided straps is 5,000 pounds. Grade 70 transport chains. Chains should have no excessive rust and links should move freely. Check for cracks in the links and hook. Both the connecting pin and cotter pin must be intact and free of damage. Typical working load limit of the provided 5/16 inch chains is 4,700 pounds. Typical working load limit of the provided 3/8 inch chains is 6,600 pounds. Binders. Verify normal operating conditions and that there's no excessive rust or damage to the binder assembly. Typical working load limit of the provided binders is 5,400 pounds. Corner protectors. If made of plastic, be sure that they're not cracked or excessively deformed, as they may dig into the product or fall off the load during transit. During equipment inspection, if you discover any damage or defects in the equipment, do not use it and report it immediately to a TP Trucking terminal. If you're able to stop by a TP Trucking terminal, contact the maintenance department to exchange the equipment. If out on the road, report the damage or defective equipment to either the Central Point or Thompson terminal and arrange to replace the equipment. Load types. In the follow-up videos, we will cover specific requirements for several different loads. Each video will show proper securement devices and placement for each type of load. Here's a brief overview of the different load types with the different securement methods to meet FMCSA regulations and follow TP Trucking policies. Wood products, such as lumber and plywood. When loading wood products, the following securement devices will be: straps, and possibly corner protectors, depending on the product. If plastic is required, straps must be fastened under the plastic for proper securement of the load. FMCSA regulations require one strap for every 10 feet of product or fraction thereof, minimum of 2 plus 1 additional for the penalty strap, which is required at the front of the load or any unblocked portion of the load. This was an example of the length rule being followed. You must have 2 straps in the first 10 feet of the load. Loads with more than 2 tiers in height must have gut straps in following the 10-foot rule. This was an example of the height rule being followed. Palletized, such as roofing shingles, bag products, and hazmat. When loading palletized products, the securement devices needed would be the following: straps, V-boards, and/or corner protectors. For this type of load, FMCSA regulations require 2 straps on the front row and back row of pallets. Best practice on bag pallet loads is to put an X strapping on both the front and the back to prevent forward or backward load shift. On all other rows, 1 strap is required when using V-boards, otherwise 2 straps may be required. This regulation applies to pallets 5 feet in length or less. Please note, any palletized load over 5 feet secure using the 1 strap for every 10 foot of load rule mentioned earlier. Pipe. When loading pipe, each tier must be blocked on the sides to prevent lateral movement, typically provided by the shipper with wood blocks attached to the dunnage. When securing pipe loads, only use straps as a securement device, since chains offer little to no grip on the product and could damage the load. When securing more than 2 tiers in height, you must have a minimum of 2 gut straps. Steel, such as plate, rebar, merchant bar, and tube steel. When loading steel, the following securement devices may be needed: straps, chains, binders, dunnage, and edge protection. Check the dispatch on the Qualcomm to see if the use of chains is permitted on the load or any other special requirements. If tarps are required, you must use edge protection such as blankets or carpet to prevent the tarps from getting damaged. If plastic is required, straps must be fastened under the plastic for proper securement of the load. TP trucking policy states that these loads require the mandatory use of a bulkhead or other method to prevent forward movement. Coils. When securing coils, the following securement devices may be needed: 3/8-inch grade 70 transport chain, straps, binders, edge protection, coil racks, and dunnage. The weight of the coils will determine how many of each of these securement devices are required. Because of the extensive rules and regulations for coil loads, they will be explained in depth in a follow-up video. Thank you for following along on the TP Trucking Load Securement Overview.